Hey guys, this is gonna be a build video on the Stamina Sorcerer that I have been running this patch. It is strong. In short, it is a strong build, but here's the catch. You have to be somewhat skilled, or at least familiar on a Stamsorc to be able to use this build. The reason why is that it is very squishy. Like, you can die pretty easily. We don't have a lot of resist, we don't have a lot of health. We're running the bare minimum amount of health to be viable in battlegrounds. But if you know what you're doing on the Stamsorc, this build is strong. Now, as some of you guys might know, that a few patches ago, there is a build, a Stamsorc build basically, that is capable of one-shotting people. Now, ZeniMax has since then put a nerf on the proc sets, like Deadlands Assassin. They basically halved the damage of Deadlands Assassin, so that set is no longer viable. They've also reduced the scaling of Frenzied Momentum to the point that it is basically reduced by like 30% or something like that. The fact that it also added a cooldown on proc sets so that two proc sets cannot both proc at once also killed the original one-shot Stamsorc. But this is kind of the solution to that. It has a lot of elements that are similar to the one-shot Stamsorc. For example, medium attack weaving. Okay, medium attack is really important on this build. So that's something you gotta practice if you want to learn how to play this build. Now, I'd say this build is probably even stronger than the original one-shot Stamsorc just because of how much AoE potential and the ability of group play you're gonna have with this setup. Now, enough with the introduction. Let's get to the actual part of the build. So let's just buff up real quick and take a quick look at our stats. So as you can see here, we're not even at 18k resist, we're at 17.9k resist, which is basically 18k, I'd say. And then 2.3k crit resist, but that's with our CP. But you can use this build in Citadel or IC, but I use it a lot in BGs. It's good in Citadel and IC. I mean, in small groups, this is an amazing build to be using. Now, let me buff up again. Sorry. Here we go. So, weapon damage, we got around 6k here and 23% crit chance, but this is really a lot higher because when you buff up your Frenzy Momentum to 10 stacks, that's like 200 weapon damage right there. Also, there's the enchant that you can proc. So you're looking around at least 6.5k to 7k weapon damage when you're fully buffed up. And weapon damage is important because it helps for healing. You know, we have 3 heals here. And it helps our proc damage. You know, our proc is very important on this build. We're stacking 3 proc sets on this build. You know, Stamsorc, not really a very good class at the moment. It doesn't have a lot of things you can use. The only 2 ways you can play Stamsorc, in my opinion, is either a bow build or you can use this build, and this build is very, very strong. And for the sets, we are using, well, Rush of Agony. Rush of Agony is gonna be our bread and butter of this build, basically. And we're running 5 piece on the body, but we're only gonna be using this on the back bar. So what Rush of Agony does is that, here, let me see if I can find some ads to show you guys. So basically, when you gap close, it pulls all these guys together, and that allows you to just destroy them. And the pull happens instantly. The pull on Rush of Agony is instant. So, yeah, and after 2 seconds, it explodes and deals a ton of damage. It has some pretty good stats too, and stam recovery, weapon damage, and pen. These are all things we're gonna use on the Stamsorc. And yeah, and as you can see in that clip back there, we're also using Plague Break. We have 2 swords on the front bar, 1 Nirnhoned, 1 Sharpened. You can also use 1 sword and 1 mace, but I just have 2 swords. It doesn't really matter, they're both good. But on the main hand, you're gonna want to have Learn Hone because then you can benefit from the dual world passive. And I have 2 absorb stamina enchants because every bit of sustain helps in this meta. You're gonna be running a lot on this build because you're pretty squishy. Your speed is your only defense, honestly, so you're gonna want as much sustain as possible while also having good weapon damage. So yeah, we have Plague Break on the front bar, Rush of Agony on the body. Well, on the back bar we have Battleshram Maul. Well, you can also run a Maelstrom two-hander to use a Crit Rush, or Stampede in this case. But Battleshram or Frenzy Momentum is gonna be a huge part of our burst. The damage is huge, even after the nerf. It's still a huge amount of damage, and it can crit too. Yeah, if it crits, it does a ton of damage, as you can see in some of the clips I'm gonna show you guys later. And on our monster helm, I just have 1 piece of Blood Spawn. You can use Magma too, but I don't have a heavy Magma head, so Blood Spawn is the way to go. Sam you're gonna want some recovery here. Like 17k, I think it's the minimum you should have in Battlegrounds. Well, it's gonna be 19k after you cast Rally, but 17k as a baseline is the minimum of what you should have. Now on the Mythic, I have Wild Hunt. So as I mentioned earlier, we are very squishy, like barely 18k resist, and we're at the minimum of 30k HP. So that's really nothing. You can die pretty easily if you do not watch your health. So speed is your only defense on this build. We have Elude here. That's gonna give us major expedition from AoE. So you're gonna be really fast, as you can see. Like I'm not even sprinting right now, and this is my walk speed. But it's gonna be slower when you're in combat. But you know, if you're fast in this game is not designed to handle speedy characters. The game, like, if you get to 1 point of speed, like around speed cap, I'd say the game starts to break and you become very, very hard to target, basically. So if you're fast, people cannot hit you, and you always want to be on the move on this build. If you stay still, you're gonna die. So I say if you're just starting to play mobility builds, and like if you're transferring from a tank build, then this is probably not the build for you. You're gonna want some practice before using this build for sure. You know, line of sight is really important. You know, you always wanna get behind covers. You know, do whatever you can to dark deal, rebuff, use your potion. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And for the traits, I have 2 infused on the jewelry, 1 weapon damage glyph, 1 stamina recovery glyph, and on our mythic, I just have a swift and weapon damage. Oh, and also another mythic option to use is, let me see. Yeah, Markin is a really good option too if you're in one of those more brawly kind of fights. If you have a lot of healer on your team, then yeah, use Markin. It is great resist and lots of weapon damage for you. So Markin is another good option, but usually because I run solo BGs a lot, so Wild Hunt is the way to go for me. Now, if you do not have a mythic, a good monster set to use would just be well, Bloodspawn is obviously good because you get more ultimate. Balorg is good for more burst damage, and Magma is another amazing set. It's gonna give you more overall damage and help you tank a lot more. That resist it gives you. Like I mentioned over here, the traits are Learn Hone and Sharpen on the swords. And I just have a lot of well-fitted and impen, some divines, but the traits are not really correct right now because I don't have the transmutes to change the traits back. But divines is pretty good. Impen, well-fitted, and well-fitted. You're gonna want a lot of well-fitted on this build because you're always roll dodging, you're always sprinting. So having that sprint reduction is essential. Now for our attribute points, I believe we have half and half. We have 32 in health and 32 in stamina. For the food, we're using Bewitched Sugar Skulls. So let me see if I can show you guys. Yeah, so we're using Trisat food. If you cannot afford Sugar Skulls, like if you're very short on money, just use the Crown food. It doesn't really matter, but Sugar Skull is gonna give you just a little bit more max health and some health recovery, which is not really that important, but it does save you sometimes. So Sugar Skull is really good food. And for our pots, you're gonna want to use tripods, obviously. Tripods, you're gonna be dark dealing, you're gonna be streaking a lot. Tripods, best way to go on this build. You cannot go wrong with tripods. Immovability pots, again, this is another good pot. If you're just charging in, you wanna not get stunned, then you pop this before you use your crit rush. So I always have immove pots and your tripods with you. What else? We're not using any poisons on this build because we need our enchants. Our enchants contribute to our burst. Like, it doesn't look like much here, but it helps. Now, for our race, like, as you can see here, we're a bit fat orc. Well, obviously, orc. Best race for Stamsorc. You get the sprint bonus. You get the weapon damage bonus. Let me see if I can just pull it up for you. Yeah, you get some max stam here, which is good. The passive heal from this is life changing. Like, when you deal damage, you get 2k HP back, which is around 1k in PvP. And every 4 seconds, like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good passive heals. So you're gonna want this. And Swift Warrior, like I said, speed, really important on this build. And weapon damage, it's gonna help our proc sets and our healing, so. Orc, best overall race. And what else? Oh, champion points. Let me go over the champion points real quick. Like, deadly aim. You want to use your single target. We're using crystal weapon as one of our burst abilities, so you're gonna want to use deadly aim. Master at arms. Like, every build should have this. It's a no-brainer. AoE, that's gonna help our Rush of Agony and our Spin to Win. Also our Frenzy Momentum, so you're gonna want to have this. And lastly, I just have some crit resist. Crit resist is important. Unless your team has Rallying Cry, then you don't need this. On the red tree, free recovery, you're gonna want to use this. Pain's Refuge, very, very broken CP passive. It helps you tank a lot more in champion-enabled modes like IC or Cerato. Move speed always helps. And also free recovery, so rejuvenation, another good one. So this is what I have in the red tree. And obviously you want to have all these passives if you can get them, if you have the champion points. And on the green tree doesn't really matter, but the ones you want to have is just the speed one. Like this one is what you want to have, but it's not really that important because you're going to be in combat most of the time anyways. So yeah, that's the champion points, and let's go over the skills. On the front bar we have our Camouflage Hunter. Now this is gonna be our source of crit and Minor Berserk. It also, well, it's really expensive, so you don't want to be casting this. But if you got some Night Blades near you, you're gonna want to use this. Night Blades do a lot of damage these days, so it's gonna be one of your priority targets. So if you can kill Night Blades, kill them fast. It's my #1 tip for succeeding in this game. Just kill Night Blades. A dead Night Blade makes your day a lot better. So yeah, this is your crit and your anti-Night Blade skill. Now Crystal Weapon, this is gonna be our main burst. So every time before you do your crit rush combo, you're gonna want to cast Crystal Weapons first. So let me see if I can find some target here. Yeah, let's just be this guy. So every time you wanna buff up first of all. You wanna dark deal, get your resist up. Do your crystal weapon and then crit rush in. Medium attack. Yeah, you wanna just crit rush and medium attack after. That's basically your combo. So crit rush, bar swap, medium attack, spin to win. And then we have spin to win here. This is our execute. Elude, you want to have this up at all times. Like I said, major evasion, huge damage reduction. Streak. Streak is important because usually you wanna, when you crit rush, you pulse the targets and they're not all grouped, so you can streak through them. You know, group them up, streak through them. Huge AoE stun, and then we got Dawnbreaker. On the back bar, we got Stampede, your heals. Like these are your bread and butter for your heals. You always want to Dark Deal up because it's passive sustain, like 24k stamina over 20 seconds. Any kind of sustain helps. You know, you got your rally. You're gonna want to have your rally up at all times because that contributes to your battle stack. So rally and then your hurricane. I have an Atro here because Sorcs you get sustain passive for having the pet. So your team can also synergize and get major berserk, but Dawnbreaker is the one you're gonna use. You can also have a temporal guard here, but I just find the sustain to be helpful. But yeah, what else am I missing? Oh, Mundus. Mundus stones. I'm using the Serpent for extra recovery. If your teammate has sustain buffs, like Symphony of Blades or orbs that they're throwing at you, then I suggest using the penetration one or the weapon damage one. Oh yeah, add-ons. So if you see this little skull thing down here, this is my tracker for my Rush of Agony cooldowns. You're gonna want to have this. This is important for keeping track of your pulse. You know, every time you have a cooldown, your cooldown ended, you're gonna want to use your pulse. Let me see if I can find the add-ons. Yes, it is this add-on right here, ESO Wise proc set timer. So you're gonna want to have this add-on for sure. If you're on console, then I guess just good luck. And that's what I can say. You know, other add-ons I use are action duration reminder. Keeps track of my buffs and my crystal weapon timer. This thing right here is my weapon damage tracker. It's also good. Yeah. And you see the 2-in-1s popping up. These are my bar swap notifications. Sometimes your bars don't swap. Bar swap is important for this build because right after you crit rush, you want to bar swap and hit the guy with the crystal weapon. So you want to keep track of your bars at all times, basically. You know, that's also the problem with this build is sometimes the lag hits you and you can't bar swap and messes up your whole combo. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm gonna show you guys some clips, and then if you guys have any questions, you can just drop them in the comments, I guess. So yeah, let's begin with this clip. Now, I'm playing with some pre-mades from my guild. A lot of times you're gonna be in solo with this build, but you know, this build you can do pre-mades, you can do solo, you can maybe 1vx with it. I wouldn't suggest because you're very, very squishy. Yeah, you can maybe 1vx in this build, but I mainly use this in battlegrounds. So yeah, let's see. My team is behind me, so these guys I play with, because they're my guild. I play with them a lot, so they know what I'm doing on this build. And if you're playing with a team, you always want to call out when you are using a Rush of Agony so that they can follow up. You know, I'm just buffing up here. We're not engaging. I want to wait until those teams get to the flag here so I can do a good pull. Now I see Siphon there is overextending, so I tell him to come back in case, you know, he gets jumped on. Now, let me see if I can fast forward. Okay, so this Templar engaged right here. He popped a Plague Break, like our teammate Purified, and that Plague Break hit us. So, you know, you see my health chunking. Like, Plague Break is really a broken set right now. So, yeah. It also goes to show, like, this build is very squishy, so you want to be careful. So my health drops right here. You know, my teammate heals me back up. I'm buffing up my crystal weapon here. You see my Battleship stack is already at 6. So I'm ready to go. So I bar swap here. Immediately he gets pulled. Even though he dodges it, his pet gets hit. So he gets pulled. I streak through him because Rush of Agony does not apply CC immunity. That's what makes the set broken, is because it does not apply CC immunity. So I streak him, I come back, medium attack, crystal weapon. Yeah, you see how all these number pops up? His health just chunks. Like he's at basically 10% HP right now, like 30% HP. Now here a Dark Convergence in the graveyard. You're not gonna want to stand in that basically. Like just don't stand in Dark Convergences. You want to move outside. If you're not able to move out, hold block. Do not roll dodge. If you roll dodge in the Dark Convergence, you're most likely gonna die. So if you see a Dark Convergence, hold block, and there's a Colossus, you don't want to stand in that. Like see somebody just died there by Plague Break procs. Somebody that DK just died, so Plague Break procs. Those guys got hit. Siphon managed to get a kill there. Now I'm telling my team I'm grouping these guys on the flag. See that guy gets pulled. I bar swapped to the Dawnbreaker. He is holding block, so he survived, but that's not gonna matter because he dies anyways. Yeah, so I have this play on half speed, by the way. If you watch this at normal speed, it's really a very fast-paced build. There's nothing much interesting happening here, so I'm just gonna fast forward. Dark Convergence. So I'm calling out here. I'm engaging this guy. See, he gets pulled. Now here's the Colossus. You see how I immediately went to go hold block. I do not try to roll dodge. I'm holding block. I'm blocking for my life here. I just managed to survive that. These Necros that are trying to bomb, they do a fuck ton of damage. And I immediately bar swap, hit my rally, my health back up, come back, buff my Hurricane, Crystal Weapon, and then I'm re-engaging on these guys, streak them. And you see my teammate is just doing all the work because I'm grouping them up for them, and then I'm streaking them. And then those guys are dead. Yeah, it's just like that. Pretty easy. And yeah, what else is going on here? It's not that interesting. Huge damage again right there. That Templar just gets absolutely pulverized. Like 4K Crystal Weapon, a 4K Frenzy Momentum. It's no joke. Even after the nerfs, that Frenzy Momentum set still hits like a truck. Dark Convergence. I got pulled there because I wasn't paying attention, but it's usually not a big deal. It's a free CC if there's no ultimates in there. Right, I see these guys right here, so I believe. I don't think I did a group because they're not grouped up. I'm going after Skooma here, but this guy's a Necro. He has his buffs up. He's got his Ghost up. His heals are ticking, and his Necros are pretty hard to kill if their buffs are up. See, like he just healed back to full there, so I'm not gonna waste my time with this guy unless my team is here. No, he did a Dark Convergence, but we killed him anyways because my team was with me. So Necros, you're not gonna want to fight a Necro 1-on-1. You want to try to burst them when they're not looking because Necros, one of the tankiest class in the game. They're pretty tough to kill if they know what they're doing on the class. So yeah, I see these greens here. I group them up. I try to DB, but my DB doesn't work. Yeah, but got the kills anyways. You see, I'm just my whole combo is just Crystal Weapon and Spin to win, like medium attack, Spin to win. It is really simple once you get the hang of it. But until then, this is something you want to practice, like medium attack into a Spin to win. A streak there because he's not dying, but my teammate managed to get him. So yeah, these guys are just running for the flags. I group him, streak. He runs away just in time, and there you see like a huge plague break proc. That guy dies from the rush of agony. This guy comes in here at a very bad timing. And he just gets popped by my teammate. No, here's another Colossus. You see, I immediately went to whole block. You know, and then you move out of here. You can always streak if you're on your front bar, but do not bother to swap bar because if you swap bar, your block is gonna drop and you're gonna die. So do not swap bar when in the dark convergence. Now I grouped them here again. My teammates dropped the standard. I should have grouped them on the standard there, but they're gonna die anyways. Like you can just see the amount of burst. Like this guy's HP bar is fucking disappeared. Yeah, there's a spinner win. He's dead. Like you see how my team is comboing with me. Like this good as a solo build, but this build really shines if you're in a team situation. So these two red guys right here. This guy gets pulled back. He's trying to run. I streak him, and then you see all these damage here. That's all the sex. That's all the sex proccing at the same time. Yeah, you see, like these guys are trying to run. There is literally no escape. Like those guys on the flag, because Rush of Agony has such a big pull radius, they just gets pulled to him. Oh, let me put this on mute real quick. My bad. Oh my. Yeah, I did a Dawnbreaker here. Spin to win. He's dead. There's nothing much interesting here. Oh, I think this is a. Yeah, you see Skuma over here. He's trying to run away. I streak him, pull him back. Oh, he just resto ulted there. So if you see somebody resto ulting, there's no point of you wasting your stamina trying to go after them. So he resto ulted there from that one attack. Now I group these guys up. My team engages. We didn't manage to kill them here because they're pretty separated, and our teammates wasn't with us. But yeah, this guy dies again. Like you see how I'm just doing my crit rush and then streaking for these guys, so my team can follow up. Like these guys don't stand a chance. Oh, yeah, I think this is a clip that's worth seeing. Let me just put this on normal speed here so you guys can see just how fast this is. Uh, Hold on, not quite yet. Like, as you can see, normal speed, my character is moving pretty damn fast. It's Wild Hunt and the speed. You see Skuma's trying to run away, I pull him back. Like you don't get to run, you don't get to run away with this build. If they're trying to run, you crit rush and streak them. Yeah, this is on normal speed, by the way. I am not speeding this up. This is just how fast this character is. Like I said, speed is our defense. You're gonna want to have speed. Like there's a Templar there. He doesn't have his bubble up. He's not buffed. I just streak him, pull him back. There he goes. Rush of Agony procs right there. He's helped just chunks. Here's a crystal weapon, Vanish Run and Spin and Win combo, and he's dead. So yeah, if you're a Templar, always have your bubble up. Otherwise, you're just a free target. I group these guys up. My team's not with me, so they got pretty good healing, so I don't get to kill them instantly. Here's another group, Dawnbreaker, Spin to Win, they're dead. Yeah. You're gonna be able to catch up with everyone in this build because you're just so fast. Oh yeah, I remember this. Hold on. Like, you see this? He has 33k HP, and it just fucking disappeared in like 2 seconds or something. Let me slow that down real quick. It's worth. There's a couple things I want to point out here. So let's change this to 0.5. So this guy, he has 32k HP. That looks like a lot, but he's not buffed. He doesn't have his armor buff. His regen is not ticking. His ghost is not up. So he's got no heals and no resist. So I pull him back here. Like, he's disorientated. Like, as you can, he's trying to block here. But I streaked through him, so his block is gone. And when I came back, you see I'm running up a medium attack here. And boom, Rush of Agony, 7.7k, 4.8k, Frenzy Momentum. That's my medium attack. And spin to win, 6k. He's just instantly dead. Like, this guy, he must be looking at his screen, thinking about what the fuck just happened. Like, if that was me, I would have instantly quit the game. But yeah, it just goes to show how much burst this thing actually has. Let's see if I can find something else. Oh yeah, here's another clip that I recorded from one of our tournament games. Like, Keeper, best map player in the game. I play with these guys a lot, so they know what we're doing. So I come here, I see these guys right here. Like, they were pretty tight, so I call out to my group that I'm about to round them up. Like, you can see the group here. Also, you're gonna want to use Stampede instead of Crit Rush in this build because Stampede just hits everybody in the AoE. And here's a DB. And, hold on, let me just go back a bit. Yeah, it just happened so fast. Like, there's no way they could have reacted to that. It's just insane. So I grouped them up. Here's a DB. Like, hit this guy for 7k. This guy's for 5k. He's blocking, so he only got hit for like 3k. And then my Rush of Agony procced right here. And then here's a Plague Break. Like, which is why Rush of Agony and Plague Break just pairs up so well because, if you pull them in and when one of them dies, their whole team is gonna die from Plague Break. Yeah, it's just an easy cleanup. And then I bar swapped Dark Deal, get my resources back, rebuff, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much else to say. Yeah, so go ahead, give this build a try. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know down in the comments. Yeah, I'll see you guys later.